verses 1 to 17, as we talked about last time. The question that Matthew is answering is, if Jesus Christ is Israel's right Messiah, if he's the one, a rightful king, why hasn't the kingdom come? That's part of the reason why they rejected him. Okay, the kingdom didn't come, even though the king did come. Because you can't have a kingdom without a king. Matthew had to explain to them the reason why the kingdom had not come was because you were not spiritually prepared for the kingdom because you rejected the king. God's sovereign rule over all the earth. Now, if Jesus is the right Messiah, does he have the right lineage? The right line. Matthew is dealing with Joseph's line. Joseph is the adopted father of Jesus. The legal father of Jesus. Jesus had no natural father. We know that because the first verse of Matthew 1 said this is the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. David was king. So Matthew is presenting Jesus as Israel's rightful king. He's the son of Abraham because he's of the right nation. He's a Jew. As I said last week, Jesus Christ came from a totally dysfunctional family. Like you see that? Yeah, because several of Jesus, yes ma'am. Abraham, yeah. Which meant he was from the right nation. Israel. He was a Jew. From a totally dysfunctional family. Because a couple of David's grandmamas were hoes. I'm just going to put it to you just like it is. Tamar was old. She played the prostitute, didn't she? It's in Genesis. Was 36, I believe. 34, 36. Bathsheba was an adulterer. Both of them are David's grandmama. Ruth was just simply a Gentile. Right? And here you are, you got 4 women in the line of Messiah, in the genealogy of Messiah, and women were not normally named in genealogy. It's always the son of, the son of, the son of, the son of. But here they broke with tradition. They named 4 women. Isn't that something? Rahab. Rahab the what? The harlot. Negro translation, hoe. And what she was? We don't say it like that. See, God, yes, ma'am. You got Tamar, Rahab, Bathsheba, and Ruth. The Lord is trying to show us it doesn't matter what your background is or what you've done in your past, or how low you sink in your moral life. God's grace can reach down there and pick you up and make you somebody. Come on now. See, that's why God had Matthew to write this genealogy. You know why? He was a tax collector. He kept good records. He was the IRS man. Right? Verse 17 says that Joseph had no participation in the birth of Messiah because it says, of whom? Verse 16 rather. And that Jacob was born to Joseph, the husband of Mary, by whom is feminine. Was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Then you got the birth of Messiah. And in chapter 2, we see the wise men coming from Babylon, 900 miles to the east. Babylon is Iraq. They are coming to do what? Worship the king. There's something else going on here. They were a priestly class of men who studied the stars. They had learned about Messiah's coming through Daniel, because Daniel was in Babylon. They hadn't personally learned from Daniel, because Daniel was probably long dead, but they had a history. But Daniel talks about it in Daniel 9. These wise men were king makers. When they show up, their presence says to the king that's presently reigning, your time is up. That's why when Herod asked him, said, what are y'all doing? He said, we come to worship him who was born king of the Jews. What did he tell Herod? Your time is up. But notice there are Gentiles coming to worship a what? A Jew. Because Jesus Christ was not going to simply be a Jewish Messiah, but a world Messiah. Because the world is classified into two groups, Jew, Gentile. Anybody that's not a Jew is a Gentile. And another reason why they show up is to bring him some money through these gifts. Are you with me now? And get it out of your head, there were three wise men. There were more than three wise men. Y'all ever heard of carjacking? There's only three of these fellas traveling 900 miles with expensive gifts like that. They'd been camel jacked. Took all their stuff. But we do know it was enough of them that it disturbed Jerusalem. Yeah. And so God tells him and tells Joseph, all right, you take the Christ child and go down to Egypt. Turn to Exodus chapter 4 and verse 22. Let's put it together. Exodus. Thus you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says the Lord, Israel is my son. And you are to let them go. But that wasn't the passage I was looking for. God says, out of Egypt I will call my son. I know it's in Hosea. I thought it was chapter 4. I know it's in Hosea 11, 1 or 2. But I thought it was, let me go to Hosea and cross-reference that. But turn to Hosea 11 for a moment, then we'll, Hosea, chapter 11. This is what the Lord said. When Israel was a youth, I loved him. Out of Egypt, I have called my son. Huh? 11:2. Yeah. Now, that is a highly significant verse. I swore I saw it in Exodus, but I may have saw it somewhere else and thought it was in Exodus. Now, what you see, back to Matthew 2, Jesus is the new Israel. Huh? Out of Egypt I called my son? I thought that's what I read. I know I got another translation. All right, Exodus 4:22. And it says out of Egypt? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I thought I saw out of Egypt. I called my son. It might not have been the passage, but anyway, we'll work it out. Now, let me clear the board here just a second so I can use it. Only thing clean this board is Windex. Ain't that something? Have try this. Yeah. 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 They found out about it through Daniel's writing, and they said they came not just to see him, but to worship. Yeah. What did it say about him spiritually and the ramifications of that? Well, God has shown them the star in the east. They knew about the star based on Genesis 49 and Numbers 24. Okay. And God guided them because they studied the stars. Okay. Because in that culture, you'll find out the way pagans looked at prophecy, they would look at the formation of stars. And they would say, okay, this formation tells us this. Sometimes they'll look at the liver of an animal. They cut him open, look at the liver. Yeah, that's how they did that. And so these guys are looking at the stars. And there's a certain star that was guiding them, and that was God. And they followed the star. Because it told them, in their mind, there's a new king. And we're going to follow the star and go worship that king, because they brought gifts befitting a king. Yes?
The evangelists that made it travel that far, but only 3 made it to worship. What happened to the others?
Well, they said 3 made it to worship.
I mean, we got the term for 3 wise men.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Okay.
We get 3 wise men because of their 3 gifts.
Okay, so there was more than.
Yeah, it was a caravan of them.
All right. I thought it was only 3.
Had to be enough to keep from being camel jack.
I got you.
And so tradition has the 3 wise men, but it doesn't say 3 wise men. It says magi. And they were priests of astrologers and astronomers. And they looked at the stars to determine prophecy. And God used their pagan way of looking at things to bring them to Bethlehem.
So, can I say this? So that the star that they would follow was moving with the rotation of the earth. However, God didn't want it to stop and pause until they got to where they were. But
There was a particular star that guided them. Now, how that happened, I don't have a clue. I hadn't read anything when somebody done told me anything different. But they're there to show that Jesus is the Savior of the world, not just of the Jews. Because these are Gentiles. They traveled 900 miles, and the Jews wouldn't travel 5 miles to see the Messiah. Isn't that something? Huh?
stars change their pattern.
Okay. Hey, man, if you say so.
No, I'm just telling you that.
Yeah. I'm just,
That little bit I know.
okay. Well, I'm hearing it for the first time, so. Hey, okay. All right. Well, yeah, if you say so, that's fine with me. Yeah. Planetarium. Now, they come to Bethlehem to worship the Christ child, bringing some gifts. Then God tells Joseph in a dream to go down to Egypt because Herod now sees the baby Jesus as a threat to his rule. Because Herod knew his reign was up. But when he saw those magi, he knew it. You fired. So he wanted to get rid of his arrival because Herod killed most of his sons and his favorite wife when he thought she was a threat to his throne. That's why you got Cus. It's a rough breathing mark. Pig. Sow. Huios. Son. So they said, they had a saying back in the first century, it's better for you to be Herod's goose, pig, than to be his son. You live a lot longer being a pig. Because Herod killed. Anybody who was a threat to his throne. All right. This is the Mediterranean Sea. This is the Sog, Sea of Galilee. This J.R. Ewing, Jordan River. Don't diss me, Dead Sea. This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt down here, Egypt. This is probably Bethlehem right here. God tell Joseph, get up and take the child down to where? Egypt. To he who is dead, he who seeks a child's life is dead. Right? Now this is Iraq right here. Or Babylon. This is the PG, Persian Gulf. This is CSA, Saudi Arabia. This is the Duma Desert. This is the Euphrates. And this is the Tigris. So, when these magi come, they go all the way up and come all the way down. Take you about 70 days to get from Babylon to Jerusalem. Took them almost 2 years because it was a caravan. You can travel by camel, write this down in your notes because you'll be able to use it later on, trust me. You can travel 30 miles a day on a camel. Well, you got to water that camel like you water your car. Okay? And they had stopped probably for inclement weather and yada, yada, yada. Setting up tents and then taking them down. So across about 18 months. Now what Jesus is doing, he's tracing the footsteps of Israel. And that's what he's doing. So when he comes out of Egypt, he comes and goes through Perea. Because right here, this is the kingdom of Jordan. We say Perea. In this area here. Then he crossed over back into Nazareth. So, when you fast forward to chapter 3, you meet a guy who was a forerunner named John, the one who baptizes. That's his name, the one who baptized. He didn't start the Baptist church, I'm sorry. John went out as a forerunner. Now, what do I mean by forerunner? Did y'all remember when Bill Clinton was president, he came to Macon?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Yes.
Okay. back in the 90s. Y'all was in during the 90s, right? You had to be because you're in the 2000s. But what happened when Bill Clinton, President Clinton, was scheduled to come to Macon? Long before he came, he sent out a delegation of people, Secret Service, all of that. Came to Macon. They traveled the route that he would come. They took up every mailbox on that street. They screwed down every manhole. Locked it down. Okay? The city of Macon started painting, touching up some buildings and stuff, making sure that the route the president had, there was no trash on the road. Every pothole was smoothed out. Why? The president was coming to Macon. And he sent out emissaries. He said, all right, Macon, clean your act up now. The president of the United States coming. All the cameras, the world cameras, are going to be on Macon because he's here. Every news station, not only in America, but from across the world, is going to be in Macon covering the president. Clean your act up. Crooked roads, make them straight. Well, that's what John the Baptist's job was, because Messiah was coming. The king was coming. So John went out and said, listen, you got to be spiritually straight. Clean your act up. Repent. That's John's message. Change your mind, your way of thinking about Messiah. And embrace him who's coming. Make his path straight. Make way, ready for the Lord. Get ready for him, he's coming. They tell you about John verse 4 and 5. They tell you about his clothing. He was out there baptizing. Notice what he's doing. He's baptizing people in the Jordan River. Are you with me now? Notice, as they were confessing their sins. They didn't confess their sin, they didn't baptize them.
Speak a little bit on that. How did they do that?
Simple, agreeing with God, what God says about them. Yeah, and John was preaching what God said about them. They were sinners and they had to get right with God. And they did it, and then John baptized them. Okay? But lo and behold, the Pharisees and the Sadducees show up. Now, why did they show up? They show up because all the folk out there by the Jordan River being baptized, they do about it at the temple. John took all the members. Because they believe that when God does something new, he's going to always stop by the temple first. But God didn't do that. God is out there by the river. That's what he's working at. Listen, be very, very careful thinking God only works in a church building. No. He does a lot of great work outside the church buildings. Because sometimes we get so hung up on buildings that we lose and miss out on what God's doing. There were 7 types of Pharisees. Well, you learn something when you come to class there, don't you? You ain't got to write it down. I wrote it down for you. Yeah. Yeah, take one pass.
So back, you said when they got it right with God and John baptized.
Yes.
So they put faith in the Lord.
Yes. Yeah. Confess their sins. And then John baptized them. There are 7 different types of Pharisees. Everybody got a copy of it? All right. The first type of Pharisee was a shoulder Pharisee. This is the Pharisee that wears his good deeds on their shoulder for everybody to see them. They want people to see what they did, to give them praise and honor, pat on the back. Hey, that's a holy man of God. Look what he's doing. Yeah, when he helped the pole, the cameras are there. Yeah. They want folk to know. Wear these out there where everybody can see what he's doing. He ain't going to do it unless somebody else be there to see it. And then you got the wait a little Pharisee. He always found a good excuse for putting off a good deed. We'll do it tomorrow, brother. Come back tomorrow. Man, I'm hungry now. Yeah, but you come back tomorrow. We only feed on Tuesday. Come back tomorrow. Day Monday, come back tomorrow. You know, why do it today when you can do it tomorrow? Then you had the bruised Pharisee. This Pharisee runs into a wall because they're so busy avoid looking at beautiful women. You know, he knows she's fine. Close his eyes. Run right into a wall. Oh, that's a holy man of God. Look at him. He got a nosebleed. He wouldn't look. He just closed his eyes. Like the image wasn't sketched in his mind. You got some folk not like that today. You see a preacher look at a beautiful woman and go, well, you got no business looking at it. Listen, God didn't blind me when he saved me. Huh? Bible says don't lust after her. Right? You know, every now and then you see with a good Google move. Lord have mercy. Come on now. Some of y'all say that too now. Yeah, y'all think y'all so holy. Mm-hmm. Listen, there's some pretty women out here make you think you want to leave home. Hope you don't do it, but they'll make you think about it. Yeah, you stay at the high, because she's going to get old one day too. Everything that's in place is going to drop later on. This and with me. Yeah, I wish they were what you got. Then you got the pestle of the hunched over Pharisee. This Pharisee who walked bent over in false and pretended humility. Oh, look at brother so-and-so, Reverend so-and-so. He's a humble man of God. Look at him. It's bent over. As a sign of his humility. He just acted. He just acted. Yeah. I want folk to thank him more than what he is. Then you got the ever-reckoning Pharisee. This Pharisee always weighing their good deeds against their bad ones. Oh, I just got to make sure I do more good deeds today than I did bad ones. That way you make him feel good about himself. Then you got the fearful Pharisees, always scared of doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. You know, these, and believe it or not, all of us got a little Pharisee in us. Because as soon as you see a Christian that do what you don't do, you're going to put him in hell. You see Reid drinking a margarita. He ain't got no business doing that. He a preacher. But you done had 4 Long Island iced teas. Huh? 4. Yeah, but Reid, you know me, but you should know better. Oh, boy. Because it ain't wrong to drink. It's wrong to get drunk. It ain't wrong to eat, but it's wrong to overeat. But we go condemn the person that drank a little whiskey because he's drinking, but you can't push away from the table. I never forget, we was in seminary, and he could verify this. Dr. Hendricks came to class one time, and he said, Howard Hendricks, anybody out there got a cigarette? Let me hold a cigarette. In the class, there's about 80 people in the class. What in the world? My professor asking for a cigarette. Anybody got a cigarette? I need a cigarette. Give me a cigarette. Everybody like this? They're like, looking at me like Sam looking at me now. Our professor at the theological seminary going to be asking for a cigarette when most of us done quit smoking before we got here. And then he hit us. He said, look at you. When I asked for a cigarette, some of y'all looked at me like, you're going to put me in hell because I asked for a cigarette. Or you looked at me like, I'm so unspiritual. But a man that'll smoke a cigarette is destroying the body. But so is a man that overeats. But you won't put them in the same category. And he said, I'm glad you ain't God and I ain't God either.
Come on now. Come on.
Because one thing the Bible does say about the preacher, it says for him about drinking, not to have many. He didn't say he couldn't have any.
Come on now. Come on.
And you know, most of the people that hate, well, that's too strong a word, that dislike Christians to drink are those that used to drink all the liquor before they got saved.
Lord have mercy.
I used to drink a lot of whiskey before I got saved. I used to be one of them till I learned better. I was at Applebee's one night. One of my men was at the bar. I mean, he was talking, having a good time with whatever drink he had. And his back was to me. I told Evan, I said, Evan, watch this. I'm finna mess with him. I walked over to touch him on the shoulder. He turned around. Oh, Lord. Pastor. Oh, Lord, Pastor. Oh, man, I ain't see you. I said, I just walked in there, man. I said, listen, don't get drunk. Enjoy yourself, but don't get drunk. I said, oh, okay, thank you. And I saw one at Chastain Park. Some of y'all saying, what you doing at Chastain? Listening to music. I walked over to him too. Oh, Pastor. I said, man, I told you. I teach y'all. Don't get drunk. Okay? But it doesn't mean you can't drink. Who told y'all you can't drink? You know God said drink a little beer for happiness' sake? Uh-huh. See, this on YouTube. I don't freak somebody out there on YouTube, too. Turn to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Boy, y'all tickle me looking at me. But Reid, do you drink every now and then? I'll give me a Long Island tea so y'all think it's a tea. Thank y'all for coming. I know some of y'all ain't coming back now because I said that, but thank you for coming anyway. Yeah. I have some fun. I sure do. Yeah. Verse 26. And you may spend money for whatever your heart desires, for oxen, for sheep, wine, or strong drink. And whatever your heart desires, there you shall eat in the presence of the Lord your God and rejoice, you and your what? You see strong drink there? The word for beer. It's the word for Bud Light. Michelob. Corona. Do I need to call a roll on y'all? Now, if you got a problem with alcohol, leave it alone. Amen. And then be careful of doing it before weak Christians. Amen. Sometimes you can't do it because a person weak in the faith and said, I can't believe Reid doing that, so he's a drunk preacher, so it's best not to do it in front of him. Okay. Sacrifice it for the sake of your brother, your spiritual life, or your sister. Now watch this now. Turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Am I freeing some of y'all today? 1 Corinthians chapter 10. All right. Now my time is gone, but I'm gonna deal with this since I done got you out here. It says, verse 25, eat anything that's sold in the meat market without asking questions for conscience sake. In other words, back in the day, the first century, Corinth, areas like that, what they would do, what the pagans would do, would take the meat and go up on the mountain and offer up the meat to their idol gods. Right? Nothing wrong with the meat. Then they go down and sell it cheaper. Right? Paul said, it's cheap. I mean, it's $3 off on this meat here. So how much you want for it? Okay, so you buy it. For conscience sake, don't ask it. Well, did you offer that meat to your pagan god? Do it without asking questions. Right? For all the earth is the Lord's and all that it contains. If any unbeliever invites you and you wish to go, to eat, that is, eat anything that is set before you without what? Without asking what? For something to say. But if anyone should say this meat is sacrificed to idol, don't eat it for the sake of the one who told you it's conscience. Eat anything they set before you. Let me illustrate. Here's a pagan, even a Christian. Invites you over for dinner. And you sit at the table. And they pour you a glass of wine. All right? Paul said, eat it, drink it. Without asking what? Question. Right? You knew it when you had it before. But here's a fella at the table too. He said, hey, Reid. Yeah, man. You know what's in that glass over there? What? That's wine, man. That's wine. Oh, okay. Hey, man, let me ask you a question, man. You got any water, soft drink, anything like that? Oh, yeah, I'll get you one. All right. Now, I got to change my wine for a soft drink because of him. For his conscience, not mine. So I can eat or drink as long as I don't cause another's conscience to be offended to the point where it ruins their faith. So I suggest that some of you go to Atlanta and do some stuff where folk don't know you. Go to Florida where folk don't know you. Me and Evelyn went down to Savannah about 2 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, went down to Savannah just to get away. Booked in the embassy suite, Reverend Armstrong. Nice down there too. Boy, it was nice down there. Went but about looking at stuff. All of a sudden, two ladies go talking to each other.